On the PD Cudor telephone line is John Rasmussen. He is the organizer or among organizers of a rally scheduled for the State House in Augusta this Saturday to denounce political violence. John, welcome to the George Hale Rick Tyler Show.
Thank you for having me on. I'm John Rasmussen. I'm with the Rally to Denounce Political Violence, and we're a rally that bringing people together from all walks of life to denounce the violence that has started to sweep the United States.
Okay, I guess it would be easier. Hi, it's good to talk to you, John. Give me a couple of examples where this has happened.
This has happened in Berkeley. This has happened in Boston. This has happened in Charlottesville. This has happened in states and cities across this country at a growing and frightening rate.
We've noticed that freedom of speech, your privilege to exercise or your right to exercise your freedom of speech depends on whether or not it offends me. I say that with a bit of sarcasm, but that's what we're experiencing in our nation of late, John.
No, what they're actually doing is they're figuring out a way to create boogeyman out of any sort of opposition in order to legitimize the use of physical violence against them.
Well, you're going to have a rally. I use that term in quotes on September 30th from 12 o'clock to 3 o'clock. You're going to stand at the main State House in Augusta to defend the right to gather without the threat of physical harassment.
Correct.
You will be there. I'm sure the media will show up for this. But the people at home are going to go to work, et cetera, et cetera. How do you get the message out?
Well, mainly through you guys. You have a massive voice that appeals to exactly the type of people who are worried about the loss of their rights progressively, not from the state, but from political correctness and this background threat of violence that exists and makes politicians conform to it. Holly Siegler was the most progressive member of our speaking list. She by far received the most direct death threats and threats against her personal career from local newspapers.
Do I understand?
By doing so, they have made it seem more like a alt-right rally rather than one that encompasses everything. That was their first step, to use violence to silence that. Now they have to create a boogeyman through me, through this propaganda website that they're using, the Southern Maine IWW, which has absolutely every fact screwed up. So screwed up, in fact, that they believe all of the organizers for this are the same person.
Maybe I misheard you because we know Richard Light is among one of the speakers. We've talked with Hillary Lister on our program before, the medical marijuana advocate. They're listed as people who are going to be speaking in yourself. They're not the same person.
No. But the organizers,
okay.
They're claiming all of the organizers are the same person. This monster they created called John Rasmussen, whose Facebook account is Jarity. And there are two separate people, and they've turned this person that they've created into a monster. And this monster is being used to legitimize violence because we are a rally that is specifically against the type of political ideologies and extremism that they're standing for. It's not the Nazis that present a threat to them or the white nationalists. There aren't going to be any. They're using this as the excuse to silence the opposition against violence.
As the country goes through these very difficult times, and we've been through difficult times before, the answer then is for everybody to speak up and stand together. Is that your message?
Absolutely. If you respond to violence with violence, it's going to cycle out of control incredibly quickly and at a far faster rate than anybody can anticipate. We have to all get together, the people, the police, the politicians, the press, and we have to denounce this before we lose total control over the state that we love. These are violent extremists. They're coming from out of state and organizing the most vulnerable young people of our population and brainwashing them to think that any conservative voice or even centrist voice is a white nationalist Nazi.
John Rasmussen.
And then using that to legitimize those young people to use violence against us and destroy their lives in the process.
John Rasmussen, our guest here on GHRT, one of the organizers of the Denounce Political Violence rally at the State House in Augusta on Saturday, the 30th. It starts at 12. You mentioned Charlottesville a moment ago, and I'd like your take on it. From our review of iPhone video that was taken at the event, by those who had the permit to go and march and go and rally around that statue. The video that we saw showed that they were attacked on their way there.
Everybody is attacking everybody right now.
Okay.
And now they're bringing guns. It's going to cycle incredibly fast. People are trying to defend their right to free speech with violence or responding with self-defense, and they're walking right into the trap. They want this violence to cycle out of control, and it's going to trigger violence on a massive scale. Like the cars, guns, knives, Molotov cocktails. You'd think we were in Soviet Russia or or China during the Cultural Revolution. This is going to cycle incredibly fast unless we all stand together against them. Everybody.
Oh, thank you. I noticed that Richard Light, who is a candidate for governor here in Maine, is a libertarian. Would you agree that the missives that are coming from the far left and the far right? They're coming from both sides?
The threats, or just
the threats,
the discussion, the demonization?
Yes.
Oh, we get demonized from all sides that support political violence. We are a danger to their message of the destruction of the very social rights that keep us from fighting. The right to freedom of speech is not to protect what people say. It's to keep us from descending into blows over simple conversations and disagreements. We need to protect that before it's lost, and then every political discussion ends up in a fight.
Usually it's the loudest voice that gets to the loudest voice wins the day. They win the media coverage, and the media often resorts in this 14-second soundbite world to putting labels. So the media feels that consumers can more quickly and easily understand what's being said and who's saying it and what their purpose is.
It is not to do that. It is to justify silencing them.
Yeah, I know. But my point, John, is how do you prevent that from happening to you?
By showing the people of Maine how violent and radical these groups are.
Well, they are not to be honored, that's for sure. John, is there any way it affects me because I'm older and I've been around the horn too many times, I guess, but I still believe in moderation. Is there any way that there can be moderate talk in this political world today?
That is my hope. It is only through the moderates coming together against the extremists on both sides that we stand any chance of that happening again. But if we play to these violent groups, we lose that ability potentially permanently for at least many years to come. It'll be a struggle to win back.
Did I miss the missive, as odd as that sounds? One of those scheduled speakers had received political pressure to not appear at the rally to denounce political violence, and now will not appear as initially scheduled?
Absolutely. This is Holly Siegler, who's a school board member in Portland for the Maine Green Party. They were so threatened by her appearance and its ability to disrupt their violent narrative against supposed Nazis that don't exist, that they had to force her to quit first so that they could demonize us. So she got political pressure, she got local pressure, she had violent threats, including death threats, and those combined together are awfully hard to stand up against.
So she will not be there this Saturday.
She will be there. She will not be speaking.
Will not be speaking.
Okay. John, I guess, is there...
Well, may I follow it?
Yeah.
Didn't for what you intend to do, for what you want to do, did you just not throw in a towel?
What do you mean? Throw in a towel. We're still going forward. We still have 10 speakers and a dozen speakers who want a slot. It's you can't silence people through these threats and not have a blowback. It's called the Streisand effect. The more you try and hide and conceal the truth about what these violent groups are trying to do, the more people realize that it's going on.
Is there a watershed moment where this all got going? Is it where all of this vitriol started? Is there one thing we can point to, one era, 1 year? How did we get to where we are?
I don't know if it's a specific arrow. the various political groups that have been claiming that they're for the exact same thing as these violent groups that are opposing us, they've existed, but now they've been convinced to use violence as a political means to an end. These people are the people of Maine are not violent protesters. We have a very long history of that. However, groups from out of state are seeking to take advantage of all this political extremist rhetoric from these groups to create disturbances through violence in order to silence opposition. But it's the opposition to their violence that is the message they're most afraid of, and they most have to demonize, and they have to. That's what they're afraid of.
The event is Saturday starting at noon at the State House in Augusta, the rally to denounce political violence. We're going to watch with interest to see not only how well attended this event becomes, but how it's covered in the weekend media. We'll be interested to see, and I can imagine, John, you will be interested as well to see how the television stations, what newspapers show to cover this event. What are you hoping for? What are you expecting?
I'm hoping that they'll denounce political violence. I'm hoping that they will see through the rhetoric, but that it doesn't happen quickly. It doesn't happen overnight. We need to show the people of Maine that it's happening, and the press won't do that alone, sadly. But we have to win the press over in order to end the violence, because if any mainstream press is supporting them, whether covertly or overtly, it is a dangerous thing that will make our country continue to spiral out of control.
John Rasmussen.
It is one group that has to be on board.
John Rasmussen, is there a site online where someone can go to learn more about the event?
Well, you can check us out on Facebook, Rally to Denounce Political Violence, and we're all over the Facebook, it looks like, and, social media. So the links are out there, but we're not people who are trying to organize this from a website. We are a group of people who just want to come together. So there's no central website for information. Just show up September 30th at 12 o'clock at the State House, and, you're going to hear a wide variety of messages that are peaceful.